Hey guys, so 2 days ago I got back from a 3-week solo trip in Europe. I was in Amsterdam, Paris, Barcelona, and London. And I did like a Q&A video, like a mini little Q&A video yesterday. And I'm gonna do another one today. Well, it's like a continuation, so kind of like a part two. But we're gonna be answering some of the questions about the trip because yeah, like maybe some people are interested in it and they want to know about it. So yeah, I'm going to do that right now. Guys, ignore however I talk. Sometimes voices just come in my head and then it just comes out of my mouth and I'm like, okay, this is what's being spoken. Okay, so I am going to continue off from yesterday. So let's see which questions I want to talk about. So, was traveling solo scary? Honestly, yes, it was very scary because I was just like having to rely on solely yourself is like the best thing ever because we all hate group projects, okay? We all don't like relying on people, but then when you're like, wait, I am the reason I'm going to stay alive in these foreign countries where I barely understand, where I've never been before, where I literally have to like get around to everything, meet, greet, talk. That's a lot. And it was scary at first. But then by the time I was in like the second city, I was like, oh yeah, I got this. Like really the third, I was like, oh, baby, we're golden. Because my whole time in Amsterdam was really just me being adjusted to being out of the country again because it's 2026 and the last time I was out of the country was in 2023 and that was in Mexico and I was with people, so it wasn't like solo. But this time it was really like, okay, we're back out the country. So the first day was me like processing everything and I remember being so like overwhelmed a little bit because just not even by the country, but it was like things out like going on personally and I was like, this is a lot right now. This is a lot. And then after like being in Amsterdam for a little bit, getting accustomed to the place, I was like, okay, boom. And as soon as I got used to it, it was time to go to Paris. But by the time I was in Paris, I was like, yeah, I think I know what I'm doing. Like, I think I know what I'm doing. I think I know how to get around. And then, yeah, when I was in Barcelona, it was even better. And then I ended up meeting, making a new friend. So, was it scary? Yes. But then, did it get less scary? It did. And would I travel solo again? I would. And will it probably be less scary? It could be. And I think it will be because now that I know how to trust myself. I mean, I did literally 4 different countries in the span of 3 weeks. And, like, just back to back. So like having to really get so fast and so accustomed to the way of life and things in separate, totally different areas just really made me be like, okay, we can do this. We can do this. Okay. Why did you choose Amsterdam first? Well, actually, originally I was gonna meet up with a friend, but that didn't end up happening. So then I was like, you know what? Let's still go to Amsterdam. So that was honestly the truth. Yeah. I was gonna meet up with a friend and yeah, so, because honestly, I don't know, if I wasn't going to meet up with that friend, would I have went to Amsterdam? I don't think I would have. Like, I don't know what. I just, on my list, I feel like in my, oh my gosh, what countries in Europe did I want to see? Obviously, like, a lot of people, it's like, oh, Spain, oh, Italy, oh, this, and I'm not going to lie and act like I was different. It definitely was that. It definitely was getting Spain, definitely getting France. But am I so glad that I went to the Netherlands and I went to Amsterdam? And I also saw another city called The Hague. Am I so glad? Yes, I am. Because Amsterdam literally turned out to be like, I'm not gonna lie, like top 2, not number 2. Like, I really loved Amsterdam. Like, I genuinely, like, it was tea. It was the moment. Like, I feel like it has so much of what I needed. Like, it was a big city, but not, like, too big. It was so walkable. People had their bikes. Did I bike? No, I didn't because I was afraid I was going to get hit by the roads. I feel like if I was going to bike in Amsterdam, maybe I would need a local, or I would be with another friend so that we both could look crazy and maybe get hit because being by myself and getting hit, that's a lot. But with a friend, it's fine. It's fine. No, but yeah, that's why I chose to go to Amsterdam first. But I'm so glad that it was on my list because I definitely will go again. Like, and when after Amsterdam and then Paris and Barcelona, then London, I had to go back to Amsterdam because that was where my flight was back to the US. And when I was back in Amsterdam for those 2 days, I was like, I feel like I'm home. Mind you, I was there like it was only like, it was 3 weeks in total, so I was there probably 2.5 weeks prior, but I already felt like, I'm back home, and it just felt so nostalgic, even though it was funny because it was like not that long ago. But yeah, that is why I was there first. What was your favorite thing in Amsterdam? So these questions are, I'm going to answer like a few questions about each city because I do want to make more in-depth videos about each place I went to. But my favorite, what was the question? You already see my thoughts. What was your favorite thing there? My favorite thing in Amsterdam, oh my gosh. Probably the canals. The canals, because I actually did end up doing a boat ride, like, in the canals. It was cute, it was tea, it was the moment. But not even just that, just walking and literally having the canals in the buildings and the architectures. But I'm not gonna lie, I definitely thought I knew my way around. And I thought I knew, like, where I was going. But then I realized, like, there was a point, like, literally, like, a few days ago when I was in Amsterdam still, and I was on the phone with my friend and I was talking, and I was like, okay, I think I'm, like, walking around, and then I ended up passing the same table, like, different times. And because the buildings all look so different, like, they all look like this, like, you're like, Branson, what are you talking about? But they all have different colors, and there's a canal by them, at least the area that I was in, like, towards the center. So I would think, like, oh, I'm in a different area, but in reality, like, I was just circling the same area, like, 4 different times, because the buildings look so different that you think that you're in a different area, but you're not. But then when you think you're in like the same area, you're actually not. You're in a whole different side of town, but the buildings look similar to that side of town. Like, it just, you have to be there to see it, okay? You have to be there to see it, or Google, okay? Or search the webs. But that was my favorite thing about it, just the canals. Like, I loved seeing it, like, just seeing the water there. Like, I mean, you can't jump in it. I mean, maybe you can, but not, like, to swim. Like, I don't know. But it was just so beautiful. Like, that was, like, so tea. Okay, now I'll move on to a few Paris questions. So, is Paris really rude? You know what, gag? Let's talk about it, okay? Because, honestly, look, I didn't really have that many experiences with locals. I won't lie. I mean, I was in Paris for 5 days, but, like, there wasn't many times where I interacted with full-on locals, because most of the times that I was in places, I was near touristy areas like the Louvre Museum, Arc de Triomphe, oh my gosh, the Eiffel Tower, and, like, obviously it was like so many tourists there. But the only time I really did interact with Parisians and, like, people from Paris was like when I was at restaurants, or when I was getting coffee, or when I was checking into a hotel. And honestly, it was tea. Like, the people that I met were really nice. And I mean, obviously they're workers, so they're going to be, like, nicer. But I've heard people say that, oh no, like, even workers can be mean and stuff like that. But I definitely am not the average, like, not like I'm not, like, average, but I'm saying I'm not the person that's like, hello, blah, 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 can you help me? No, like, I did hit with that. I hit everybody with that, bonjour. And, after, like, them saying bonjour, they would say a little 1-2, and then I would be like, vous parlez anglais, which means, do you speak English? Because, girl, I was confused. And yes, I took French lessons, like, 2 months before going, and I did my Duolingo, and I watched some French of YouTube and Netflix, and did I understand? Not that much. But, you know what's crazy? I'm actually understanding a lot more French now that I'm back home. Like, I'm still trying to actively learn it. And I'm understanding more than when I was there, like, a week ago. So I'm kind of like, well, I was there like a week and a half ago now. But I'm like, my brain always does this, because even when I was in South Korea 4 years ago and I studied abroad, I felt like my Korean got better when I got back home. But maybe that's just me consuming media, and it's easy for me to just say, oh, like, passively listen to it, versus when I'm there actively trying to get down. It's like, what's going on? What are we talking about? But, yeah. So, would you go back to Paris? I would 1,000% go back to Paris. I actually plan to go back to Paris for the next European vacay. But I do want to go to Italy, and I want to go to Greece, and I will add another city there too, because I do want to do another European summer. I don't know if it'll be next summer, but I do want to do another European vacay, a European timeline, because it was just a vibe. It was the moment, and just being so many different places, and, like, in such a short amount of time, like being in Amsterdam where it was nice, and it was like, the weather was here, and then at night it would get a little chilly, so you need a jacket. And then, I don't know, we're going to Paris, it's like a little bit warmer, but you still was vibing. And then all the way to Barcelona, when I was like, okay, it's really hot, like, we gotta go to the beach right now, or I'm going to get irritated. So Yeah, which I ended up going to the beach and it was a vibe. It was tea. It was the moment. Okay, and then I'll answer some questions about England really quick. So, what was it like staying in rural England instead of London? Because that's where I actually stayed. I didn't stay in London because I have a friend who stays out in England and he lives in like a rural part about an hour and a half away. And it honestly was a vibe. Like, I felt like I was in like Texas Grand Prairie, but like the UK version. Like, and it was tea. Like, it made me want a house. Like now I can actually see why people want a house with like a farm. I mean, it wasn't a farm there, but it has so much land and like barely any neighbors. And like I was like, you could just leave the door open. Like that, it was just such a vibe. And like going into the city was tea. But also when I left it, I was like, this is like so nice. Um what surprised you the most about England? I touched on this a little bit in another video, but this is more so about London. We're gonna remember that. London. Um, this much more about that, but it's just the architecture really surprised me because when we think UK, we think or England, we think filming, we think a lot of buildings and like well, at least me, I think a lot of older architecture. I think a lot of that, but actually, like seeing the city and seeing so many modern buildings next to the older architectures really just like gags me. I was like, okay, like so we have the 21st century also with a little bit of like 19th century, like it was a lot, and it was amazing. So that is what surprised me the most. But anyways, I'm rambling on with this video, but I'm gonna end it here, and maybe I'll make a part 3. Probably will. Okay. But anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, comment, subscribe, okay? And tune in for the next one because this is going to be a series and I'm going to make a lot of content about it, okay? Boom. Yes. Love you guys so much and bye.